So I get a lot of questions from students about grad school, and this video is my attempt to answer the most common ones. So first question, what is graduate school? At the most basic level, graduate school or grad school is a continuation of education. It's the next level up once you are finished with that undergraduate degree. Usually grad school means pursuing either a master's degree or a Ph.D., a doctoral degree. Now, a master's degree usually requires 2 to 3 additional years of schooling, and the PhD usually requires 5 to 7 additional years of schooling. So keep that in mind as you start to weigh your options. Now, the level of degree you choose really depends on your career goals and what each level of degree gets you or lets you do in your chosen field. So another question I get a lot is, why might I want to go to graduate school? In some fields, an undergraduate degree, a bachelor's degree is really all that you need to go wherever you want to go. And if that's the case for you, don't worry about grad school, because grad school isn't really something you want to do just for the heck of it. But if you realize you have a dream job that you know requires an advanced degree, then you'll probably want to pursue a graduate degree. Now, there are also some professions, business and engineering are 2 examples, where it's not uncommon to start your professional career right out of undergrad, and then you go back and get your master's degree or even your PhD while you are working with a company. And one of the perks of this is that many companies have programs where they either subsidize or even pay the whole tuition of this graduate degree so that you can advance your skills and better serve the company. So if you can find a gig like that, that's a great opportunity to get more education and level up your skills without having to deal with a lot of the expense that often comes with it. Next question is grad school expensive? Well, in a word, yeah, the cost per credit hour of graduate school is usually significantly more than it is per credit hour in an undergraduate program. So it is definitely important to weigh the costs with the benefits here. And there are 2 different types of costs you may want to be aware of. First are those direct costs. That's that tuition expense and the materials. But there are also sometimes indirect costs. These are things like delaying a full-time salaried job, delaying contributions to a retirement account. But there are ways to go to graduate school without going into a lot of debt. Many PhD spots, for example, are funded by research grants. So if you're accepted to one of these spots, you basically agree to work on the grant-funded project, and in exchange, that grant pays your tuition and gives you a stipend for basic living expenses. But just be aware that these fully funded positions are highly competitive, so you will need to have a really top-notch application if you would like to snag one. Now, master's programs don't usually have the research funding that PhD programs do, so it's more likely that you'll need to foot the bill here. That is, unless you're lucky enough to work for one of those companies that I mentioned already, which subsidize or even pay for master's programs for employees who want to level up their skills and qualifications. The next question is, what do you do in graduate school? Before we get into that, has this video been helpful for you so far? If so, please smash that like button. It just helps this video spread to more students who may be looking for information on grad school just like you. So what do you do in grad school? Well, again, the specifics here really depend on the field. But overall, grad school is usually centered around research. So the idea is that now that you've learned the basics of your field in your undergraduate degree, in graduate school, it's time to apply that knowledge and start to develop the skills you need to further contribute to knowledge in that field. So earlier on in a graduate program, there will be more coursework. So at first, you'll take advanced theory classes, advanced research methods, and statistics classes, and courses designed to help you develop key professional skills in your chosen discipline. As you advance in your studies, you'll begin to be spending more and more of your time on research. You'll be reading what's been done before, you'll be working with established scholars on their research, and you'll even be starting your own research investigations. This all culminates in what is often the final requirement for a graduate degree, which is a thesis or a dissertation. And this is you contributing new original scholarly research to your field. Now, many students are really intimidated by this idea of having to come up with new original research. But once you are in grad school, you're doing in-depth reading, you're working with a mentor, you'll be amazed at how much is not known in your chosen field. So definitely don't let this piece stress you out too much. Next question I get a lot is, how do I prepare for graduate school? So one thing to be aware of is that if you think there's a possibility you might want to go to grad school, don't wait. Start preparing as early as you can so that when you do get to senior year, you have the option. But generally, one of the most important things is having good grades. And if you want to be competitive for one of those fully funded PhD spots, you need to have pretty stellar grades. And graduate schools will also be interested in your grades in key classes. So for example, how did you do in research methods? How did you do in statistics? How did you do in the major classes that equipped you with the foundational knowledge you need to then pursue a graduate degree in that field? Another thing to do if you are thinking about graduate school is get as much research experience as you can. So early on, this often looks like working with faculty on their research. But ideally, as you get into junior or even senior year, you are starting to do independent research where you are asking a question. You're designing a study, you're collecting data, you're analyzing that data, and you are communicating the findings, whether that is through a written article or whether that is through a conference presentation. If you can find the opportunities to do this sort of independent research, this will make your grad school application a lot more competitive. Another thing I really recommend if you're thinking about graduate school is doing a number of internships, like more than one, and doing some job shadows. So it's really important to understand the different career options in your field and whether you actually need to go to grad school for the job that you want. So doing this work to really investigate the job options and figure out if a given profession does fit with you and your goals is key to making sure that when you do choose grad school, it actually is something that you'll benefit from. And one other thing to keep on your radar when it comes to preparing for grad school is know that usually you will have to take the GRE. This is the Graduate Record Exam, and this is basically the SAT for grad school. And the main goal of this test is to weed out applicants that are just not academically ready for the rigor of graduate level classes. So make sure you're aware of this, make sure that you plan time to study and take this so it's ready to go when application time comes. The next question I get a lot is, so how do I apply to grad school? Again, the specifics here can vary by program and discipline. So do your research, read the application instructions, make sure that you're checking all the boxes you need to for programs that you want to apply to. So generally, know that for master's programs, you're usually applying for the program, whereas for doctoral programs, those PhDs, you're usually applying to work with specific scholars within a program. So if you are applying to PhD programs, know that not only do you need to spend time researching programs, but then you also need to research the faculty, the scholars within each program you want to apply to so that you can identify folks that you may want to work with. These are usually called advisors, and you want them to be people that do work that aligns with your goals and your interests. So in your application for these sorts of PhD programs, you're usually asked to identify 2 to 3 faculty members who you think you fit with best. Another key piece of grad school applications are those recommendation letters. Now, unlike is the case for most jobs where you just need to provide a reference, that is a name and phone number, and they can call them if they want to know more about you, graduate applications require full-blown recommendation letters, often multiple pages long. And so you want to make sure that you identify your programs, identify your letter writers with enough time to give your letter writers a chance to actually do the writing and get them ready so that you can submit your application or have those letters submitted in time. Now, there's a lot of strategy involved in who to ask, how to ask, and how to cultivate connections with professors that will get you really strong letters of recommendation. So for all of that, definitely check out this playlist up here where I talk all about recommendation letter strategy. All right, last question. What was your grad school experience? So I've sat on a lot of panels where students are asking questions about graduate school and how to prepare. And very often they end up asking about my journey. So why did I decide to go to grad school? How did I choose where to go? And what red flags made me avoid some of the places that I thought at first I wanted to go? So that's actually my next video. And if it's out, it'll be right up here. So I will see you guys over there.